We ready?
Not really.
All right, let's call this meeting of the Troy Budget Committee to order on November 25th at 6:00 p.m. First order of business is to approve the minutes from November 18th. Everybody have those in front of you?
Move to accept as written.
We're going to motion to accept as written.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, adjustments, corrections, whatnots? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right. All right. New business. First up, cemetery trustees. Diane, that is you.
Okay.
We're just gonna go down line by line and put it right on through. Is that okay with that?
Sure, yes.
Cemetery.
All right, so everybody got their budget available, cemetery trustees budget, and we'll zoom in on this here. There's my little bar down below.
This is new.
I don't wanna ask AI.
For some reason I have to use them now.
Okay.
I might point out that Matthew Woolley is the chair temporarily. He wanted to be chair and I didn't care whether he was or wasn't.
Okay,
But he isn't involved in putting all of this together.
okay. So he's not here to present, but he is the chair, okay? Understood. All right, so we'll start right off. Trustee salaries, looks like you're doing, looking to do an increase for the first time in a long time. Is that what I'm seeing here? Going from 1625 to 2150?
Yeah, not a big difference, but it's been 100 years. It's time.
1625 was probably a lot of money back then.
And according to the expenses, of course, there's one more payment due to the trustees. So that would equal the 1625 in the end.
Okay, so you've had a full board this year, for the whole year?
Is that something that you just do, or does that have to, I mean, as far as raising the payment,
Voted in one of our meetings.
that's it? You can vote yourself raises? That's
As far as I
Actually-
understood, it was appropriate.
So, so it's a request to the voters to give them an increase.
okay.
If they choose not to, that's fine too.
Yep, and Dick's not here, so I'll need a refresher on how this is handled, but all elected officials that are looking for an increase will have their own separate warrant article for it. If there's multiple boards that are looking for an increase, that warrant article, I think, will encompass all of those boards. If you guys are the only one, then it'll just be a warrant article specific for you. So it won't be in your budget, it'll be in a separate warrant article, and then it'll get plugged into your budget after that is approved.
Did we discuss this at our last meeting?
This is what, yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong.
But
So
I-
we discussed
I thought-
general raises for.
Okay, I thought that the way we left it at our last meeting was that instead of putting the raises, maybe it was just for appointed employees.
That's how I took it, was it was for
Okay,
actual
then forget I
town
said it.
employees.
So I'm correct, at
You're
least in
talking
this
about
part of it.
You're talking about elected officials, okay. And I'll withdraw what I just said.
Okay.
So that means that this budget line should still be 1625.
Yep, and when it goes to the, so we're not voting on it twice, so it'll be in the operating budget at 1625 with a warrant article for the additional, whatever that is. Couldn't you have done 21, 25, 22, 20, can we make it 22, 25, so it's an even number? No, I'm just kidding.
Sure. Make it 25.
Okay.
So yeah, so that would be, we would pull that out of there, and then it would be riding over as a separate warrant article, and then it would be plugged back in after the fact if it was, in fact, voted in. Does that make sense, Steve?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, part-time salary, we have it was $16,000, and we're increasing to $20,000. Is Skip actually, this is Skip's line, right?
Yeah.
Is he officially retiring, or is this just another
Well, he
Another
tells
block.
us that every year, but he says this year he's really done. He
Okay.
can't do it anymore. And we felt that we needed to increase. He was making around $14 an hour.
Okay.
We felt that it was appropriate to increase the salary for that position.
As much as he's around, it's probably less than that, but I don't know what he
Yes.
puts in for, but,
Oh, definitely.
yeah.
And he purchases a lot of the flowers that he puts in on his own.
Well, when he does finally go, which may or may not be this year, he'll be missed, but, the perpetual care pays for this line item, correct?
Yes.
I might ask that on each of these as we go down
Sure.
through, because it's not overly clear to me as sometimes. Part-time salary, now we're, adding a,
But there were always 2 employees, and we had a hard time finding somebody. We did finally find someone to fill in, but he didn't like it after a little bit, so he
okay,
left us.
yeah, so you got a low expense for the year, but you've got 10, bumping it up to 12 for next year.
Right.
Okay, on those,
Again, trying to do more than $12 to $14 per hour,
I don't know
so that we
anybody
can
that's-
get somebody.
What's the age limit for the part-time person?
There's none,
There isn't, so.
any better.
So, these 2 line items, anybody have any questions, thoughts, or concerns?
So I'm just curious here. This is paid out of perpetual care,
Yes,
so should it actually be on the budget?
Unfortunately, that's the way it
Right.
goes. Yeah, so,
Okay.
so this budget is paid for out of the general fund throughout the course of the year. And then at the end of the year, what the actual expenditure was is then paid back to the
yeah,
general
the
fund.
perpetual
out of the
care
perpetual
fund
care
will
fund.
refund the
Yeah,
town.
it's a refund situation.
Right.
Yep.
And it's both employees come out of the perpetual care fund?
Yes,
So that's not, this budget item line amount is not necessarily what's gonna get paid out of perpetual care. The actual cost is.
Right,
right,
the actual cost,
okay.
you got it, yep.
But we have to have it here so we can pay it.
Yes, so we can expend it.
Yeah, so
Yep.
when you're setting the tax rate, you will be using the 20 and the 12 to set the tax rate. We will raise all of that money. If we spend less than that, there will be a surplus in the general fund, and this will be paid back to it, so you'll get a little bit of extra on the back end as well. There's extra taxation that's gone into the general fund that then the select board can use to offset the tax rate or what have you, once that audit is done for that year.
Okay,
Make sense?
yes,
All right, vehicle insurance. What do we have going on here?
Yeah, this is like the second budget we had with nothing's there.
I recalculated, all the numbers, so
And is that, so the 445 is good?
Yep.
Okay, good. Building maintenance and repair, we're looking to level fund that at 300.
yes,
Clothing allowance, we are, bumping that up to 300 from 175, looks like you have went over a little bit this year.
we did. The clothing allowance is basically to replace the footwear for whoever is employed there, because they're on their feet constantly walking and
Yep.
that kind of stuff. But there was a little misunderstanding, and so we went over.
Yeah, and I think if you've got 2 good work boots, you can be at the $300 mark anyway.
Right,
Okay, so computer services, moving on, dues, et cetera. Level funding that at $40.
Mhm.
Electricity, we're level funding that at $230. These are generally small items. On the equipment purchase, level funding that at $2,000. Now, this is one of those line items that would come out of the maintenance expendable trust, correct?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And
No.
I'm sure that a new riding lawnmower is much more expensive than that, but
Right.
it's a starting point.
Okay. So how close are you, because I know the truck is like long in the tooth for sure. The lawnmower is long in the tooth. How close are you to making
Well, the
a-
lawnmower was fixed this year and has a new motor,
Okay, So you're gonna at least get another year out of that.
Oh, yeah.
And how about the truck?
It doesn't go very far. It goes mostly within town.
Yep.
From the highway department building to the 2 cemeteries that he maintains.
Yep.
And there is a 3rd cemetery on West Hill that he goes to occasionally, does some weed whacking,
Okay,
but that's about it. Occasionally he has to drive to Jaffrey to drop off a piece of equipment for repair.
okay. So when
So
we're,
we're hoping it will go another year.
okay, so, as we plod along through this Cypress process,
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming we would probably do like a lease purchase for something like that, if we were to buy a new truck and run it out over a number of years, and that would make the cost coming out of the, expendable trust, which we
Right.
need to move over from the perpetual care, a lot less, so that we don't have to move a full extra, 75,000 for a truck, or 60,000 for a truck, or whatever it's going to be. The same is true with the lawnmower, so we wanna think about like what that's gonna cost, like at the end of next year, if we're gonna buy something new for 26, and what the annual payment would be on that, and make sure that what we're doing on the Cypress side is actually gonna cover it. Cause we have a 5-year plan on the Cypress side, and I don't know if we included any of that in there. So, Alan, do you know?
No.
Okay. What did we, can you remind me, what were we asking to move out of the, perpetual care from an annual standpoint, using an average number? Was
I
it
don't
was it the
remember.
full budget? Was it the full cemetery budget that we moved over?
No, it was just the amount of, we're hiring 2 people.
Okay,
I think it's, I'm gonna say it's around 16,000
okay,
a year, because I
okay,
think it was 80,000 for the whole 5 years.
okay. So,
But I haven't looked at it in a few weeks,
okay.
so I don't wanna commit to that number.
Yeah, so, but like, that kind of speaks to my point though, is that we'll wanna be thinking about these bigger ticket items that can't be used out of perpetual care as a part of that. So, especially if we're gonna, there's no way we would do it all as a, pay for it all the way up front. We would definitely wanna lease it and pay it over time, but we definitely need to have a plan for that, so. Sorry to the budget committee, but that's, a little bit of planning that's happening behind the scenes between the trustees of trust funds and the cemetery trustees to make sure that we don't take anything out of taxation when we have this big giant pile of money sitting in perpetual care. So that's something that we're working on in the background, and going through this budget has reminded me that we've got major purchases that actually have to be accounted for as well.
Okay, could we backtrack a little bit to this clothing allowance line?
Sure.
What was the misunderstanding that caused you to go double the budget?
A new trustee was appointed,
Hmm?
and he realized we had a clothing allowance, and so he got himself some t-shirts.
So did he reimburse that,
Not to my knowledge.
since it shouldn't have been done? Maybe somebody should look into that. I mean, you can't do something you're not supposed to do, and then just say, well, we just overran our budget here.
Well, it's misappropriation of funds, so.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the purview of the budget committee, but we can certainly let the select board know about it, and they should look at that closely and make sure that nothing was done, no wrongdoing exists there.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion about the vehicle? Instead of getting a new truck, look into a toolcat for the cemetery. You ever seen the City of Keene toolcat that runs downtown? It's a little, almost like a side-by-side.
Oh.
It's got a dump body on the back, it's like 4 feet long, and then you can put a plow on it or a bucket.
Put a trailer on that,
You put a trailer on it.
have to tow them all
That
around.
sounds more appropriate.
It would be better on fuel mileage, it'd last a lot longer. You wouldn't have to run back and forth to the barn 100 times to, get dirt or whatever. You can stockpile a little dirt down there and use the toolcat to do what he's gotta do.
Send the information for said piece of equipment to the.
Yeah,
I will,
cemetery
I have
trustee.
it down in
Good.
the barn already,
Yep.
so,
I don't think those are cheap either.
no, but it's
They're, what, maybe 30,000?
maybe,
Okay.
Well, that's not good, so that can't go to Jaffrey though, can it?
no, but we can always
So-
take something over to Ronnie's if need be.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it could theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
It
Oh,
could,
yeah,
you put a
well,
plate on it, yeah.
not really. Cause is that considered an off-road vehicle, or is that just, for
But they can be
licensing?
registered.
It can be under special construction equipment, so it can run road.
Oh, so you can run on the,
Yep, it's just like having a
Understand
loader of
roads.
that, so you just get the special
Okay.
commercial plate.
Okay,
Yeah,
no, for,
makes sense.
for next year, but yep, thank you for that.
Yep.
Alright, moving on, we are at, equipment repair. We got a budget of 2,500 for 24 and lowering it down to 2,000 for 25. Is that just based on experience? Looks like you've been a little bit under budget, a couple of years.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
yes,
This is something that comes out of perpetual care, correct?
yes, repair does.
Ben, can I interrupt you?
Yes, sir.
Turns out I do have that document with me,
Okay,
and the number I gave you was wrong, I said it was 80, it's 160.
okay. Okay.
For 5 years.
All right, that makes more sense from what we had discussed previously. Sounds like there's gonna be enough in the Cypress process, that we're well underway with this, so me throwing in a curveball at the end seems a little
Yep.
ridiculous, but, it sounds like we've got it probably pretty well covered if a new piece of equipment is looking to be purchased next year.
Well, the 30, as Alan mentioned, it was the 2 employee lines, right?
Correct.
Which is 32 a year, which is how much that?
Because we're doubling, going from, was it 1 employee to 2?
There always were 2 employees, and the last 2 years, we haven't been able to find anybody that wants to mow the lawn.
So that figure is going from the last 2 years, where there's only been 1 employee, to 2. Going back the way it used to be. So 20 per employee per year average.
I stand corrected, Adam, you're right, so yeah, that definitely needs to be looked at for major equipment purchases for 2026, definitely. And Alan, depending on how far along we are, we might be able to update that number with our attorney and get that accommodated, so it seems like probably we should do that sooner than later. Sorry, that's a separate conversation than what we're having here today, but it's definitely future budget.
So you're saying that equipment purchase, you wanna change the budget?
Nope, so what I'm saying is just change the request to have moved over from perpetual care during the Cypress process, change
Okay.
the request to accommodate for payments on a new vehicle and a new lawnmower starting in 26.
Understood.
Make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
So I take it you made progress on getting it the money in that fund?
We've,
It's in progress.
yeah, it's in
Yeah.
progress, we've
Okay.
taken the steps to request, we've hired an attorney, we've put the money request together, that attorney is then going to be putting it before a judge. I think there's some communications that have happened with the, charitable trust unit, to kind of figure out the process to move along with this, but now it seems like probably what we're asking for is not enough money, so. That being
Because we had
said,
talked about this a lot in the past.
Yep,
all of a
and now
sudden
we're
it's like,
actually doing
okay,
something
what did
with
you
it.
really do?
Yeah, now we're actually doing something with it, and I think what it's really not a huge deal, because if for some reason this is further along than we expected and we can't adjust that number, we've asked for a 5-year number, so we're asking, so if the 5-year money runs out in 3 years because we've purchased a new piece of equipment or whatever, we can just go back and run the Cypress process again, so.
Yeah, once you do it, it'll be easier after that.
Yes, I do agree that once they see the fund and they watch how all of it operates, it'll be easier to move money over, after the first round.
Good.
Okay. So now we're on to fencing.
Mhm.
We've got $1,000 in 2024, and we're level funding that in 2025. Anybody just stop me as we're going along here if there's something you need to talk about. Flags, we're jumping that up from 300 to 500, looks like the experience was a little bit up this year. Is that something you just expect to be more expensive going forward?
Yeah.
So probably $500 a year at least.
We had, quite a few flags donated from a couple local organizations. This year we didn't get any donated, so.
Okay,
A lot of that has to do with Skip going around asking
okay,
for it, and
okay.
So this number will cover what you need without any donations?
it should. We have a few left from last year, and so it should be
Okay.
appropriate. But
Alright,
we have to buy new flags each year to put on the graves, and then they have to be destroyed at the end of the season. So after, Veterans Day, they have to be destroyed. So we have to have new ones for the following year.
All right,
I was just making sure you had enough. I go both ways. Okay,
we good on flags?
we are good.
Okay, general supplies, looks like you're bumping that up to 425, went a little bit over this year.
Mhm.
You're bumping it up from 300. Labor contracted services, level funding that at 6,000, looks like you spent 4,500 of it this year so far.
Mhm.
The-
That's dealing with, trees that come down that we have to have someone come in and take care of. Also, I think that was the one that we used to repair and replace the flagpole.
Is this a perpetual care number as well?
Yes.
Okay.
The selectmen haven't had an opportunity to meet with the cemetery trustees yet.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's been our position, that we should not be hiring a new employee or employees there. That the maintenance would be better served. I know you've already gone by that line, so we believe that this is, the nature of the work there would be more efficiently handled by contracted labor. And so, and I know that Diane doesn't agree with me on that, but, you know, if you don't have somebody and you can't find somebody, you're gonna wind up doing that anyway. So we may wind up moving that number down, or mixing and matching them or something like that.
Yep. One of the things that does for you, Diane, is that you don't have to buy a truck and you don't have to buy a lawnmower. So it solves our cypress process problem, excuse me, so,
Or repairs.
yep, so,
There's a number of aspects of what goes on here that we really believe that would serve well.
Yep.
to things.
it's interesting how, this is what we were talking about with the law being a little kooky, is that perpetual care would literally pay for somebody to do all of that. And as a contractor, and knowing that baked into that cost is them having to purchase new equipment and whatnot on their end. That would just be built into the pricing
Right.
that we'd be paying, so, so we kind of get away from having to make those major purchases, so. When Skip does finally retire, it seems like that could be something to think about, so, in any case, okay? Thank you, Dick.
Now it's finding somebody that wants to do it.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, you'll definitely pay a pretty decent chunk for it to have a contractor do it, but, you do get away from having to, cause I think you've been very lucky to have Skip there. He's very self-motivated, he doesn't need any oversight. Having that happen again is pretty tough to do, so, in any case.
He was well trained.
Okay, monument repair, looks like we've got some plans for this.
The other member, Matthew, would like to have the whole of the village cemetery revamped, stones redone for the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War.
Okay.
He asked for 20,000. I said I thought 8 was more appropriate.
The, monument repair, again, does that come out of perpetual care?
Yes,
Okay. You all heard the explanation on that, and which cemetery is this specifically?
Village, the one downtown,
Okay,
behind Walsh's house.
okay.
So the difference between the 8,000 and 20,000 is quite a bit.
Yes,
Can you
it
tell us
is.
where both you and Matt came up with those numbers?
Matt doesn't know that I changed his numbers.
Oh.
Chris and I discussed it. We just had the village cemetery, had them come in and do some monument repair and
Yeah.
the village, Mountain View, I'm sorry. And it was 2,500, and they were good to us about it. They've worked with us in the past. And they did most of the cemetery. There's one section down on Marlborough Road that they hadn't gotten to yet. And I just felt that 20,000 was way out of line.
Yeah, but if they did, the other cemetery for 2,500, do you really think you need 8,000?
I don't know how many stones need to be replaced in the village cemetery. And sadly, that's part of perpetual care. Trees have come down, have smashed some of the old headstones. And there's just no salvaging them. They're too far gone, and so they need to be replaced.
Okay, thank you.
Those are our older headstones in town as
Right,
well, right?
right, they're like shale, I guess it's called, or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. And that
Sure.
just can't be repaired.
Okay. Any other questions on that one? Okay, liability insurance, were you happy with that number, Jeremy?
Yeah, I pretty much, combined property and liability, that's why property zeroed out.
Okay. Looks like we're gonna jump right down to, recharge fire extinguishers, we've got $1 in that line item. Is that because you guys don't have any fire extinguishers?
Basically,
Okay,
we have disposable ones in the truck. Highly unusual for a fire to start, unless somebody's there doing something inappropriate.
or you have a truck catch on fire, because it's too old.
Right, but there's a fire extinguisher in the truck,
There you go.
so,
Perfect.
We've been putting a fire extinguisher in his truck every time we get one recharged.
Yep.
We'll just put it in his truck.
Okay.
And we'll take care of it.
Okay. Seed, fertilizer and loam, looks like we're level funding that at 2,000, and that's been covering you right along. And that's another one that's perpetual care,
yes.
okay. Can I get a copy of that little list you keep referring to at some point? I've been guessing a lot over the years.
Well, I have been too.
Okay, all right.
I go back to some of the old paperwork to try and figure out if I got it right.
Okay. It is a little bit of a mystery when you look at the actual
It is.
laws themselves. Okay, so the seminars, we're level funding that at $40. We haven't really spent anything out of that in years, but just in case.
Right.
You got a new employee coming, then that might be necessary. Social Security, is that a good number calculation for, okay? Cell phone, we are bumping that up a little bit from 350 to 400.
Just a quick backtrack again,
Yes, sir.
we're moving fast.
Yep. Sorry.
Does the social security come out of the, perpetual care, the same as the salaries?
I don't believe so. Oh, no.
If the salary does, the social security, but
I would guess that.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
Yeah, it should be all payroll expenses come out. If some come out, they should all come out, I would think.
But either way, it still has to appear on here to be appropriate.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Not-
Definitely.
not-
Yep.
Not debating that, just
Yep.
seeing
And the
what's going
cellular
on.
phone is because he's been alone there in case there were an emergency or anything else. At least he has some way of contacting someone.
Yep. I don't know what kind of cell phone he has for $400 a year, but
It's a cheapie, but
It's-
it's a town plan.
it's one that you can just make calls on.
He used to have a flip phone.
It's one way.
It's a
It's a
backpack
CD,
phone.
actually. Alright, so equipment, fuel, gas, bumping that up to 1,300 from 1,200.
Right, I'm sure that there's more that doesn't appear on the expenses. It's not always coming forth right away,
Okay, so you got more coming in, you're expecting.
I'm assuming, yes.
Okay. Repairs on the Dodge pickup, we're bumping that up to 1,100 from 1,000. Looks like we've been pretty good on repairs for the last few years,
Yeah.
so it's bound to happen. Veterans grave markers, we are at, going from 275 to 350, we got no expense in there this year.
I don't know why there's no expense. I would assume he must have got some, but
I'm pretty sure he bought new steel plaques. The steel markers, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he bought more this year.
Who would you have bought that from, do you know? Do you know who you would have bought that from?
no, I
Or
don't.
he?
Probably one of the,
Like Patriot or something?
yeah,
Alright, Sarah, your first takeaway of the evening. Excellent, we finally got one. Alright, anybody have any questions on that? Workers' comp, are we happy with that, Jeremy?
Mhm.
Okay, and the water and sewer number, looks like we continue to be,
195 seems awfully low for a whole year of water.
Well, they would just be billed for water, right? They don't have any sewer.
I don't know any sewer,
Right,
but there's a.
but
there's
The
a-
previous year it was higher, so I would assume that maybe there's a final bill that hasn't come in yet.
Yeah, but the previous year was only
$280.
$25, $27 more.
We're looking up the, I'm sure you guys use the minimum over there, I'm guessing. So,
But the minimum just applies on the water side.
Yep. it would be, it'd be a minimum water bill times 4, that's what the budget should be.
Right, yeah.
Was it 70?
Adam's looking it up right now. This is the last line, there's not much talking amongst ourselves.
Sorry, Adam.
I'm wondering what happened
Well, you know what, that's when, they
basically
first
every
started
next
charging us
year.
for water.
No, it was 280.
And they said our usage was so high,
That
that's what they estimated it was gonna be, but I think it was usage for like 6 years. And then they,
It's still not like that's what's
I
ours.
mean,
Ben,
350.
I agree.
Yeah, that's true.
Big difference.
Do you know, are they supposed to be paying for the turn on, turn off?
Oh.
I would assume so.
Because if you shut off at the end of the year and turn back on, you blow the lines all out, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Oh, that, we don't care about that part of it, we just care about the other half.
I don't do that. I thought the water department did.
Oh, what is the fee for shut on, shut off?
55 on both sides, so it's $110 total for that.
So that would be $390.
And the water is not turned on the village cemetery anymore. There were too many broken lines and,
Okay, so it didn't
I
blow.
got it from
exactly.
Yeah.
But
still-
people don't
Yeah.
put flowers down
Alright,
anymore anyway.
alright, yep, that sounds right, because it's 82 on the sewer, that's what I said, 8382. So 70 times 4 plus the
Well,
110,
they would go for
Not my job.
oh, 70 times
Two?
2 or 3.
Two, so it'll be 100. Is it,
23.
how many is there?
Depends on when they have us turn it on, I guess.
Oh, okay, so your technically
Oh.
would be like 2 to 3, so it'd be.
So the budget
Yes.
for three.
I don't either.
Yep.
Not very comfortable.
110.
And he insists on having
So
meetings
320.
at the town hall at night.
That's what we just said.
And no
Well,
one's there.
It's 220 and you were 222 the year before, so that's
I'd
right on.
skip me.
320, yeah.
So we're gonna change,
So I'm not
we need to
alone.
make a motion on that?
Or do we want her to?
We'll ask, so
Last
we did the
time.
calculation, if you're using the minimum water plus a turn on and turn off fee, the grand total is $320.
20.
$320, is it okay if we do a, change the request to 320, that way we don't have to capture a vote?
Definitely.
Okay. 320 is the new request on that. Okay,
Wow,
folks,
a savings.
what do we
I
have
think that's
for-
the only one we've changed, isn't it?
I think so.
Gotta be
Oh,
one
oh,
every
oh,
budget.
sorry.
Well, that and the first line, the salaries.
Right, yeah, the requested number is gonna be, the 1625, and that needs to be the difference between what you requested and what it normally is
Yeah.
gonna go into the warrant article.
Oh, okay. I missed
New
that one.
employees that
1625, you said?
can,
Yeah.
That's 550.
what's the age for running anything?
525.
I'll wait.
So
They
we
would be
changed
16,
the
so
salaries
running
from
the week.
20,000 to 1625?
No,
As far as I
the
know,
trustee
that's what it
salary.
was
Oh,
when my
oh,
dad
oh,
was
okay.
running it.
And we'll circle back to this,
But
Dick,
it might
after you
be
guys,
16.
after you guys meet on this.
I got 28.
Part of it, I think,
But I
is,
would love to have
728.
somebody.
the big question is, Skip
Yeah.
retiring or not retiring?
Yeah, and
That's the
that's-
big question, because he said that the last several years, and so far he
Right,
hasn't.
if he
So-
retires, that's a different ballgame
And I
than if
think
he's
if you
staying
get
another year.
companies
Exactly.
that get into it,
So-
They don't have
Right.
the.
All right, so
Investment.
Adam, tell me what this
Right.
is.
Tara and I are,
In agreement.
Okay, yes, 63,730.
63730 is the new number. I will entertain a motion to tentatively approve that, knowing that the select board has not visited with these folks for this budget, and they have some ideas of their own, and we'll end up circling back to this to some degree.
So moved.
second.
Motion and a second to tentatively approve 63, remind me again,
730.
730. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Deb, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'll second.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I already did.
I didn't hear you.
Who's taking minutes anyway? We got, all right, just got the motion and the second, all right. Any further discussion or questions, comments?
Sorry, we're good now.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
We'll,
I'm dismissed. Oh.
You may be dismissed, and we'll just circle back on a couple of those pieces.
Yeah.
Once you've talked to the select board, and if we got a question for you, we'll let you know.
Mhm.
Okay?
Definitely. Thank you.
Nice to see you again.
Good seeing
You gonna be at the house tomorrow?
No,
No.
you. I will be.
I don't want your lunch.
This would have been a good opportunity.
I'll bring you,
Meeting with the selectmen.
Diane.
Budget.
I'll bring you the information I have on that toolkit tomorrow.
In fact, it will all speak system.
And then I'll give you a number for it.
Oh, sounds good.
And use it.
Yeah, that might be perfect for what we
I was
need.
just thinking about that too.
Be a lot
It
better
would make
than
their meetings a lot shorter.
We need 2 more people.
And I'm
Could've-
sure the
Could have
insurance.
done a joint meeting and got it all done.
I mentioned that, but.
Been thinking about this since last year.
Oh, you did mention that.
What, combining?
Okay. Thank you.
I think it's 550.
We do,
And I hope so.
Am I the only one here
we
tonight?
can do that.
I'm gonna shuffle things around a little bit. Next, we're going to do the transfer station instead of the highway department, we'll do the highway department last.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thanks, Diane, take care.
Does that mean there's bad news in the highway department?
Nope, just smaller budget, gonna start with
Okay.
the small one and then go to the bigger one.
You got your slingshot?
Don't give them ideas.
Why do you
Okay.
think he's sitting here?
John, you ready? You want some, need a shield or anything?
That's what you just,
I'm gonna need something.
you got stuff behind you.
Yeah.
You could move over to one seat over and give you at least a chair in between the two.
I think his left hand's a little harder than his right.
You might wanna bring a hard hat in the future.
Yes.
That's why I asked Ben if he
each
had
one's the
one.
same.
They're the same. Alright, let's move on here. Alright, so we're gonna go line by line down through, we're on the transfer station, everybody have that in front of them?
Yep.
Got it up on the screen? Okay. Superintendent, 2024 was 17,328. Oh, no, that was the actual, sorry. 18,500, looking to bump it up to 25,000, with a $6,500 difference. Talk to us about this. I don't know that I know fully what the hours are down there, what this means for Are we doing
Tuesdays,
different hours, or what are we doing differently?
Tuesdays we're open from noon to 6.
Okay.
Then Thursdays noon to 4:30.
Friday.
Friday, yeah, Friday. Then Saturday 8 to 4:30. The more hours, the more of an incentive for somebody to come in and step up, and take the plate on it.
Do we have nobody in this position currently? So it's you. But you're looking to hire somebody to fill this position.
Yeah.
So what does that equate to? I know,
25, 26 an hour.
okay. What do we?
Well, I think there's more hours involved with the position than it's actually open. There is, so, not like 10, but there's probably 3 or 4, because there's some bookkeeping that needs to be done and some reporting that needs to be done that goes along with the position. So when you go back and calculate out the hourly rate, I would say you need to add at least 4 hours per week.
2086.
2086 if you had the tenant.
The 4.
In my opinion, it should
Sorry,
go
I
back to
didn't say that.
full-time for somebody.
That's like an $80,000 position full-time with
Benefits.
medical benefits.
Keep
There's
your
all-
equipment job and do it.
There's a lot of stuff down there that needs to be kept track of.
I would have to start with the selectmen, I would think.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna be a little bit of our issue on some of these salaries. Same thing with the cemetery, because they haven't been to the selectmen yet, and really the selectmen is the stopgap for this. If they're not, if it comes from them at a different number than this, then we're gonna be having a totally different discussion, but we can have the discussion on each of these and then put a pin in them essentially until the selectmen get a chance to review it. Okay, so does anybody have any other questions about the superintendent position? All right, part-time salaries, we're going from 27 to 35, that's a 30% increase. I do like this spreadsheet, it's nice to read. So we're going up $8,000 on that. So the 28,486 for the actual for 2024, obviously, we're not to the end of 2024 yet, so when is that through? 11/15?
Yeah.
I'm looking at that, okay.
So you've got
So,
another-
so we have a month and a half left, so that's obviously gonna be a higher number than that.
Right.
And when did the hours change to add Tuesday? Was that like mid-year this year, or?
It was the first week of August.
Okay, so we're seeing a change just because some overrun because of that
Right.
by itself, okay?
You're gonna come in this year at about 35.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And then being down one employee.
And those people were absurdly underpaid. Just like, really, you could work at McDonald's and make more money,
Yeah.
significantly more money.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There's a guy down there that's been there since '76 and he's making like $10 an hour.
which is a raise.
Right.
So it's hard to say, can I really find somebody for $10 an hour?
And you look at to go back to the superintendent, you got all these laws and regulations and DES, the same thing with the water department. You're supposed to have a license to run that transfer station down there. You gotta have somebody full-time down there, 'cause you have to go by the laws and the rules, everything's gotta be separated, calculated, weighed, tonnages have to match up, where it's all going has to match up in your records and state records. To me, it's not a $25,000 position, it's more.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions on those two line items?
Oh, I got just a general question.
Mhm.
Has this ever been looked at to be outsourced?
I think it was talked about in the last couple of years, but I don't know how, to what.
We have looked at it at least 3 times, twice very seriously, and it seems like it would be a good idea, but then you get into, it wouldn't actually save us any money. And so, the answer to your question is, has it been looked at? Yes, it's been looked at twice, at least, where we really got numbers and bids. And it actually was not to our advantage to do that. I mean, we may go back and look at it again, but that wasn't our plan at this point.
Okay. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of towns that do, Jaffrey is outsourced completely. In Hinsdale, they actually provide, the town pays for door-to-door pickup. So you don't pay for your trash, you don't take it down, you put your recycling and stuff out on the curb, and Hinsdale comes and picks it up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And we looked at potentially doing that, and it just doesn't work financially. So,
I wonder, does anybody know what the percentage is of people that use the transfer station versus have trash pickup?
have your own dumpsters, hard to say.
Just another curiosity.
I mean, you can look at least people buy the sticker, so you can see how
Well,
many
you
people
can't-
actually have the transfer.
We don't have good numbers on that because
Well,
for
I
the
know
last,
we're transitioning, yeah.
well, it was
Mm.
a significant period of time where almost no stickers were sold.
Right.
And two things have happened in the last 6 months, which is that we significantly increased the fees that we charge to simply bring them in line with other towns. And we enforced the requirement for stickers, which made a number of people unhappy. But so they were no longer $2, they were that, and then we were making people actually buy them. So you've got a revenue offset that we don't really know what that's worth at this point.
Do we know what this account has in it? Cause this, we used to, what we generated on bags and dump stickers, et cetera, used to generate enough to, pay the bond on the landfill.
Right.
Which was $105,000, I believe, for 20 years,
We've taken in $52,000 this year.
year to date.
And that,
I think it's like
is that,
255, 260 right now, and that's 260,000
It's in the account,
in the account.
okay.
and is that just bags, or is that bags and dump stickers?
It's all the money that goes down there.
But just
That's
all
been-
of it?
That's been deposited,
What
so
you use in the
whether you're paying,
dumpster or
yeah.
whatever, got it.
Yeah, you wanna bring electronics, you wanna bring a mattress, you wanna bring, yeah.
But there's no agent to expend from that fund, correct?
Oh, that's not me.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
whoever that is.
No,
Let me
it
look.
has to go to town meeting.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a town meeting thing,
Yeah.
because they got voted down last year.
Brought in 51,000 so far, and there's. This isn't too many, this is the last week, there was 245.
So that's worth looking into, John, as well, the revenue coming in there compared year over year, because that sounds super low. $50-something thousand year over year, I mean, year to date, excuse me, is, seems quite low.
Well, I think if you could look at the income trend on it, you'd see a significant uptick in the income, again, in the last 60 days, well,
Since August.
since August, whatever that is, 90 days.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you'd probably find that most of that, or just, I think you'd find that a shockingly large percentage of that has come in since August.
Which is alarming about January through August.
Well, right, but so when you're building this budget, you wanna look at the income side.
Right,
I think you wanna look at the income side from August till now,
yep,
and then reinterpret that back.
Take checks, it's quick, so January was 1,600, February was 2,500, March was 3,700, April 33, May 43, June 1,100, July 5,900, August 7,600, September 5,800, October 8,900.
Which that first half of the year, if you go down there on Mondays and count the mattresses after we fill the dumpster,
Yeah.
that week after, there's another 60 mattresses down there. Where they're coming from, nobody knows.
Like outside the fence or?
No, just after they've been open for the weekend,
Oh, sorry.
there's,
I'm
They weren't being charged for it.
exactly.
Right.
No,
Now they're being charged for it. That's where
So
you-
it sounds like averaging $7,500 a month is the new number.
Right.
Ish, okay. Yeah, that makes a difference, cause that's 90,000 a year.
Yep.
So, that's it, and that's still below, in a time where everything has gotten more expensive, that's still below what we used to collect enough to cover the bond payment, which was over $100,000 a year, so.
and we're still below, surrounding towns for
Right.
prices and sticker prices.
But the bond payment is gone at this point, right?
Yes, it is, yeah.
So,
Yeah, so this is a nice opportunity to raise some money to cover this budget. So we don't pay for this budget with those funds. We don't use this, we don't treat this like a revolving account. So that money comes in and it sits in essentially a savings account for the town to spend it on what that account is specifically for, which is the transfer station. So, I think what were we trying to do with it last year? We were trying to change the way the fund could be used, the purpose of that fund.
We were,
The wells.
we were looking to try and have an agent to expend so that money to pay for like the monitoring the wells.
I don't think we're trying to change the purpose of the
No,
fund so
just
much.
allowing it to be spent.
Yeah.
but maybe if you can't get the agent changed, you just do it.
There is no agent, it's a town meeting.
Yeah,
Right, but I mean, every year at town meeting, put a warrant article out to move funds out of there.
It used to be a warrant article to pay the bond, now it'd be a warrant article to
Right.
pay the budget.
right.
Yeah, there was a warrant article last year to have the agents to expend be the select board,
Right,
and it got shot down.
yeah, I probably spoke against it,
You did.
yeah, I usually do. I like town meeting to make decisions, especially on a $200-something-thousand account.
I don't think that from the selectmen's perspective, that's really that big of an issue. You could, this is a budget, you can see this coming, literally, you can see it coming a year in advance. And whatever number we all agree we wanna put forward from that fund towards this budget, there's no reason to not do that way.
Definitely. Yeah, and we could change the structure of the fund entirely and have it be an actual revolving account so that it pays for it right out of the account. So money comes in and money goes out and we don't actually see it in the budgeting process. So that could be, if there was enough money to cover the entire budget, which there isn't, so.
More checks to write there.
Yeah, that would be another
know.
separate account. Okay, all right, we got lots of work to do here, so let's move on.
Alright, move on.
All right, so advertising, looks like we're bumping that up to 180 from 150.
Yeah, it is.
Bottled water, we're level funding that from, at $100. Building maintenance and repair, we're dropping that down to 1,000 from $4,000. Any comments on that?
What is it you did plan to do and didn't do, or did you do it and it's done and we don't have to go back?
We did a bunch of patching this year down there. I've done some work inside.
But you don't anticipate having to do that again this year?
Not as much.
No, okay. I mean, $1,000, it's not gonna, fix a whole lot.
Mainly the parking lot. The state wants us to fix the meter that's in the back of the parking lot, and then there's a candy cane on the hill that needs to be fixed.
And you can do that for $1,000.
You know,
Okay. Clothing allowance, looks like we're bumping that up to 1,000 from 300. Spent 545 this year to date. I'll pause a little bit on each of these, but I'll just keep on
What do
going.
what clothing do we provide? Do we provide shoes, or do we provide shirts, or what do we?
just shoes right now.
Okay.
They gotta be steel toe, anti-slip,
And what do they cost a piece?
anywhere between $150 and $200 a pair.
Well, I mean, that's what I assumed, I'm not shocked, I just,
You have to buy two, you can't just buy one.
well, no, I know, I figured they're $150 a pair, so. And everybody gets a new pair once a year, or,
Yep.
and new hires get a pair?
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna spend $1,000 on shoes.
Yep. And then we're getting into the program of wearing the high visibility shirts
Yeah.
when they're out walking around in the parking lot. They're covered by ANSI Class 3 shirts, so.
Makes sense. Disability insurance, because we have no full-time employees down there, I can see why this is at $1. Looks like, why is there, wait, no.
Yeah, that's good.
No, it's so, yeah, it's proposed at $1, 0 cents, alright, sorry, my bad. Yeah, I lost my
You're
head.
not used to the
Let me-
extra
let me-
columns.
let me fix my head in here.
There's two extra columns.
Okay, guess I'm drawing a blank. Alright, so, we are at dues, memberships, and subscriptions. Looks like we're going from, $375 to $600. Electricity, we're going from 1,800 to 2,200. Looks like we've had some fluctuations in electric costs associated down there. Year to date is 1,760. Equipment purchase, going from 500 to 2,500. What's the plan there, John?
I'm gonna be looking for a used compactor, so we can stop making split bales and do one baler mixed paper, the other bale aluminum like we were, instead of doing half and half.
Anybody have any questions on that?
Yes, should that be a separate warrant article?
How much is this thing gonna cost?
From what I've seen, I can find one for under $5,000.
Well, it's either,
Well, 25, it better be half of $5,000, because you're 2,500 in here.
You gotta know where to look.
Yep. What do we typically put for a threshold on this? I know we've kind of asked the select board to set something up a little more formal. But I thought we had a $5,000 threshold for,
No, we set it at 2,500
2,500.
to get multiple bids.
Okay. No, I meant to, set the threshold for a warrant
Oh,
article,
we
a capital purchase.
Yeah, we left that at $5,000.
Okay. You okay with that answer, Alan?
I'm okay with the answer.
Okay, equipment rental, the compactor, we're going from 2,600 to 3,000, 2,200 year to date. Guessing the cost has gone up on that.
Yeah.
Alright, equipment repairs, we're level funding that at $1,000. Used 872 this year so far. Equipment repair for the forklift, we have dropped that to 500 from 1,500. Spent 281 year to date. General supplies, bumping that up $300 from 1,200 to 1,500, used nearly that 1,500 year to date so far. Electronic disposal, taking 200 out of that, we've got $0 in that. Is that because we spent zero? Is that because we just accumulate the stuff and then bring it all at once at some point, or?
We had shipped it last year and I never saw a bill for it.
do that every time.
Wherever that went.
Keep shipping to wherever it went that year.
To that spot. Okay. Okay, and this should be offset by, the cost of when you bring your electronics in.
Right,
you
and
pay
that's why
for
we
it.
went away from the per pound to a set price. Cause the per pound and the set price kinda equal each other out with the new TVs.
Yep.
For the old TVs, you know, a 100-pound tube TV
Yep.
would be $20.
Yep.
So that's what I figured the new rate on that and based on other towns and how they're doing things.
Okay,
'Cause some of that electronic stuff is actually, has a scrap value.
You gonna come down and take it apart?
No, you don't have to take it apart.
No,
No,
so
I
where's
love
it go?
gold and platinum, but it ain't worth my time.
but I mean, you know, like in a computer, the processors are worth money.
Right.
Yeah, but where do they go?
Is,
To a scrapyard.
Like on Route 12?
I don't know if they
something
do
like
it,
that?
but I've dealt with them that did, you just bring a computer in, they'll give you, cause it's got, they'll break
Yeah,
it
no,
up.
I know the stuff, I'm just, sometimes you look at what do you get for it versus the work to get it there and, yeah, no, I hear you.
That may may explain why they didn't do a bill, they may make enough in scrap to.
that's too good of an answer. I'm sure
Yeah.
that somebody just screwed up the bill.
it does seem that way.
Well, we just need to figure out how to have
Yeah,
them keep screwing it up.
Keep sending it to them.
Not the same bill we had last year.
Yep, exactly.
Okay,
Okay,
moving on.
yeah.
Okay, Hep B vaccinations, do we still get those as a part of some program or whatever, we don't have to pay for that, or do they just not do them down there?
I've never seen it done.
Okay. Right, put $1 in there, just in case. I know that for wastewater stuff, you definitely have to have it, so.
I think
Health
it's
insurance,
just there as a just in case kind of thing.
okay. Yeah. Get $1 in health insurance in case for some reason we go full-time with somebody. Hazardous waste collection, level funding that at 1,000. Got 0 to date this year, 220 last year.
We're missing a bill on that one too.
Is that like paints and stuff like that? Is that what that is? Or-
Paints, oil, stains.
Yeah. Okay. And that all gets sent off somewhere and we pay to have it, and we still haven't gotten a bill for that
I
this
thought
year.
that was us just reimbursing people.
That's,
When-
I think that's what that is.
Oh, yeah,
So-
that's right.
We don't, so if you take your cans of paint up to Keene on the appointed day,
Okay,
then we will reimburse you for it. We
Okay.
had previously contracted with Keene on a flat fee basis, which was quite high. And, former selectman made the observation that perhaps if we, simply reimburse people, it would cost less than it in fact does, because most people just go up and pay it and don't bother with the reimbursement.
Yep.
I think we had one person, put in for reimbursement.
so we don't accept it at the transfer station, that's what I'm understanding then.
We're not supposed to accept paints and stains. We
Okay,
can accept oil, but it has to be clean oil,
okay.
and that still costs money to get rid of.
Heating oil, level funding at 1,800. Year to date, 1170. Oil burner service, level funding at 300. Haven't had our burner service yet this year.
Yes, the bill just came through, $420.
Okay. 300 gonna cover it?
It should.
Okay.
Now that it's had some work done.
Okay.
Well, don't you have to pay that $450?
No,
We're gonna,
you'll,
this year it's gonna be over.
yeah, this year will be over, but it looks like there's enough in the budget to cover that. So labor contracted services, we're going, all right, talk to us about this. We're going from 2,200 to 10,000. We spent 5,560 so far this year. What is this for?
So over the summer, the state had come down and given us a list of deficiencies. And the biggest one was the vegetation around the inside and the outside perimeter of the fence. So that is to hire an excavator with a mowing head on it to go inside and outside the fence and do 10, 15-foot swath on the outside, and push it all back. And that's gonna become part of the every other year maintenance program down there. Is to get an excavator in there, keep it mowed, keep everything pushed back.
Anybody have any questions on that?
And that 10 grand should get us 2 weeks with an excavator with a mulching head.
What does a mulching head cost? 100,000?
40 grand for a baby one.
And how far is it around the whole fence line?
It's a pretty good block. I don't know the exact footage, but.
Would you have any other place in town that you would use a mulching head like that?
Oh, yeah. We do a lot of roadside mowing and sky mowing with it. Take down low hanging branches, clear everything back to the right of ways.
Looking to make a big purchase over there,
I'm sorry?
Dick? So you looking to make a big purchase over there?
No, but sometimes, you know, it's one of those things, you're gonna spend 10 grand this year, you're gonna spend 10 grand again, I don't,
Like it's 4 years, it pays for itself.
4 years has paid for itself, plus how much you spend in your other budgets to
Well,
use the wrong equipment or
Don't we
whatever.
contract out for that?
Well, you have to have the piece of equipment to put the mulcher on first.
Well, that was my next question, I don't know, yeah, so.
So there's that, so.
That's probably more than
Well,
10,000.
the other uses you were talking about, do you
Yeah.
do them now?
yeah, we contract them out.
Okay, so that's
Because-
another piece that,
Yeah,
but then you got the people to do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Everybody down the highway can, if we had an excavator with a mulching head, every one of us could run it. Just like having the boom flail on the trackless mower, that only reaches so far before you tip over. Even with 900 pounds on the opposite
Really
side.
good.
So, but do we have the piece of equipment we could put this on if we even got whatever this thing is called?
Not right now.
I think that's gonna be for discussion on the warrant article.